Olly, you're a coach here at CaliUnity, and
Yeah.
lots of people don't know your story, and so I thought it would be an absolute pleasure to have you on first in the podcast. Why do you train?
Oh God, why do I train? So, I mean, there's the obvious reasons. I think calisthenics is like incredible for your overall fitness, mobility, strength-wise, all that kind of stuff. But I feel like saying that to you would be very,
Surface.
it would be very surface. So I actually started my calisthenics journey and kind of training during lockdown. So started to do kind of YouTube videos and watching those and kind of following those along, and then realized there was a park near me with pull-up bars, dip bars, all that kind of stuff. So I was actually training my mum as well. Like we
Cool.
were kind of like doing these workouts together. And I was a bit like, I should have probably realized back then that I was gonna go down this road and become a PT, but I don't know, just never clicked really. I just did it out of enjoyment, right? So reason why I was training then was because I was inspired to, because I thought I want to be physically fitter and physically stronger. And yeah, that was kind of what brought me into the kind of calisthenics world. Reason why I then continued training was just because I was passionate about it, because I loved it. I was seeing that I was progressing and everything was going really well. And then it started to kind of change. Like my reason for training kind of became something different. And my reasons for training has actually kept changing, I think. So there is that kind of surface level that I could give you of, it keeps me fit, keeps me strong, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, things kind of started to escalate. About 6 months into my calisthenics training, it kind of got put on pause hugely. So I actually did a post on it was about a year into my training, because I did a post on my birthday, because a couple of months before the year benchmark, I was actually diagnosed with cancer. So that was a very rough kind of element that I needed to push through and get through. So training kind of has always changed in terms of why I'm training. So to begin with, it was just I'm inspired to, and I want to give it a go. And then after that, it became more of I feel like there was this element of like mental health. So I had testicular cancer, and I was walking. I was at Carfest, right? We'll start at the very beginning. So I was at Carfest, and I'm walking up a hill to go use the toilet, and I'm thinking, oh, something isn't quite right there. That's really, that feels really bizarre. And then that night, got home, checked myself in the shower, and I thought, oh my God, like what is that? Like basically found a lump on my testicle, which obviously sets off all the emergency buzzers. And then I was at the doctor the next day. He checked me, and he didn't like the feel of it either, obviously. And then a week after that, I was at the big hospital getting checked. Blood's done, ultrasound, and another doctor checked me, and basically it was a case of like they didn't know what it was, and they couldn't confirm what it was until they had kind of like extracted. So I had to have an orchidectomy where they take it away. But yeah, they sit me down in this room, and they're saying to me, okay, so we just want you to kind of glaze over this and glaze over this and have a look at this leaflet. And no one has directly said to me, Ollie, you've got cancer, right? Because until I've had the orchidectomy, they don't know what it is, but they're shoving these leaflets at me that are like, Macmillan Cancer Support. And, there's a charity ironically named It's in the Bag.
Right.
They're passing me another leaflet for them as well, but no one's actually said the word cancer to me, which is, you sat there shaking like shit scared, like what is going on? Sorry, I'm allowed to swear, aren't I? Like, I just realised I said shit scared.
Yeah, it's all good. No, all good.
But
That must have been tough, man.
but yeah, it was a pretty rough time. And then I went for a CT scan because they wanted to see if anything had happened or if the cancer had spread, right? And they found like a blemish on my like para-aortic, so it's just like basically what goes through you, like through your back. And they found a blemish, and they said, oh, we don't know if that was just like a shadow, like from the screen, or if it's actually the cancer has spread, so we don't really know. So we don't know if you're going to need chemotherapy or not. So they said, we'll do the orchidectomy, you'll have your surgery, and then we'll go, in a month's time, we'll do another CT scan and we'll confirm if it was just like a blemish on the screen or if it was like, if the cancer has spread. So I did the CT scan a month later, and then, they're saying to me, okay, so we're gonna have to give you 3 cycles of chemotherapy. Really invasive, intrusive stuff that kind of goes into your system. So I had 3 cycles of that. So a cycle is 21 days. So for the first day, I've got the PICC line in me, and they are draining in all these different types of chemicals. Like every hour, it's like a fresh bag of whatever it is. So the first day is like a good 11 hours of that. And the second day is like another good 11 hours of that. And then the third day is a 2-hour infusion. Then you go home and you've got the rest of the week off. And then the following Friday, I had to go back in for another 1-hour infusion. And then the following Friday after that, I had to go in for another 1-hour infusion. And that's 21 days. That's like 1 cycle. So I had to do that 3 times.
Wow.
They're pumping me with steroids to protect my inner organs and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm eating everything because the steroids are really kicking in. Like we're driving home and I'm like, let's go Burger King. Like, right. Like smashing down all this like different junk food and whatever else. So when I went back to my calisthenics training, I have the PICC line taken out. They basically take it out of you like a magician's scarf trick. Just this like thing coming out of my arm, right?
Yeah.
Like, really, anyway, but they take that out, and I can return to training.
And it was all okay.
Yeah.
How did you feel during it? Like, were you?
So this is
fatigue.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah. How was that during it?
So this is the mental element of training. So I train now for my mental health because I feel like if I don't, I lose my marbles a little bit.
Right.
So
okay.
the training was taken away from me because I had this PICC line in. I wasn't allowed to push anything. I wasn't allowed to like pull on anything. I wasn't allowed to do anything because I had this like thing in me to help the chemicals go in, right? So not being able to train after 6 months of pretty consistent training where I was seeing some really decent results. I was well on my way to like my first bar muscle up and all that kind of stuff. All of that was just stripped away. All of it was just taken from me. And I think the most shocking thing about it was I thought I was at the strongest like I'd ever been in my life. Like I thought physically I was like the healthiest I had ever been. So to then be told, you're not able to train anymore because of this thing that's happened to you, and all this treatment that you're going to be having, it was really tough. Like the kind of the mental aspects of, because you see all these results that you were getting. Like I felt really strong and really fit. So to see those results physically change, and I think I could have dealt with the body changes and the body image. I think I could have dealt with that because I knew that I was no longer training. It'd be like if I said to you, like, stop training now for 6 months, right? Like you'd be accepting of the fact that your body's going to change, right?
Fine. Yeah.
The bit that I struggled with was I lost my hair, so I went completely bald, which is fine. I can deal with that element. The bit, funnily enough, that made me feel really sick and like I was ill when I saw myself in the mirror and I thought, you look sick, was my eyebrows were also like I've got quite thick eyebrows, I think, right? So like that was starting to get choppy and they were starting to go. And the other thing, which is really random, but like I can't grow a beard at the best of times, right? I get like kind of like scruffle and whatever else, and it looks kind of like unkept or whatever, but I couldn't even grow, like even where I'm at now, like even this wouldn't come through because it just couldn't, because the chemo was so strong, and was so intrusive to my body. And it just, so the overall experience of how it made me feel in terms of me was just, it was tough. It was a tough element to kind of crack through. There was a lot to overcome.
Has that given you like a different perspective of now you look at things and you think they're easy to compare to that and stuff, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it sounds like before you were kind of training more for the skill element, the strength element. now it sounds like because of that experience, you've shifted to more of the mental side,
Yeah.
and just like the beauty of being able to move.
Yeah, it is. It is hugely. Something that, I thought about recently was like just even mobility, like even just being able to move in the way that I do and being able to have that. Like, I'm not the most flexible of people, right? But even the flexibility that I've got, I appreciate. There becomes like a new level of like appreciation in your training of like, even though I'm not able to, I don't know, let's say for example, do like, 5 muscle ups in a row. I'm grateful that I can even do one, because it proves that I've got the strength to be able to do that move and have that kind of ability to do that.
And on that note as well, that's speaking directly to people listening to this who maybe haven't stepped foot in a gym or Cali, who are coming back from injury, who are in maybe a dark place, or they're on the sofa and they're finding it hard to get up.
Yeah.
But they can.
Yeah.
They can move.
Yeah.
Olly with a line going down his arm on chemo couldn't move.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think it's such an incredible message of this gratitude.
Yeah.
Of just the body is incredible.
Yeah,
and the body can do such amazing things. Yeah. And I guess even more so, it's just the more we look after it and the more we cherish it, the better it is. But sometimes it takes an experience like what you went through for some people. It sounds like you're in a good routine anyway, but an experience like that to kickstart them into something, right? That's incredible, man. So you went through that, and then now it's more of you train more for the kind of the mental side of it. So how would you kind of explain that?
Yeah, so like training now is more for my own kind of like mental health and mental well-being. So I've always had it anyway in my head of like, instead of being like, I want to look this way, especially after the whole chemo thing, like I really now try to shy away from looking good, like as much as I can.
Why's that?
Because it's just like, I think you can see like different benchmarks of like getting fitter and looking healthier or feeling healthier. I looked and felt very healthy, like my shoulders were quite like stacked. I was only 65 kilograms. So to be fair, like being able to lift myself wasn't particularly, I had the strength to lift 65 kilograms, which is quite, now the chemo and the food has actually helped me to put on weight. So I'm actually now 73 kilograms. Cool. So the fact that I can now lift 73 kilograms shows that I was actually stronger than I was before. So actually, to a degree, it helped in that sense. But I try to shy away from the body image aspect of it now, just because for me, I now look in the mirror and I see that I've got a full head of hair. I can grow my beard again. I've got eyebrows. I don't have to worry about how I look now, because I've been in a position where I was in this body that didn't belong to me.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's this element of, I looked in the mirror and I went, that's not me. And you never get used to it. I couldn't get used to it, even though I was having chemo for like three months or so. Like it was 63 days, right? So I was having chemo for a good chunk of time, like 2 months, but then the after effects of that, 3-4 months, you're still recovering, right?
And what age were you when this happened as well?
God, where was I? So I'm 30 this year. So I was 26 when I was diagnosed in September. And then I started chemotherapy after my 27th birthday in November.
Wow.
Yeah. And every single time you look past, you walk past a mirror, you go for a shower, you get out of the shower and you look at yourself in the mirror, like, you're like, who the hell is that looking back at me? Like, that's not me. It was pretty crazy. It was a strange time. Luckily, I had an amazing support system. My now fiance, she was with me the whole way through it. She was training to be a nurse, and now she is a nurse. So she was incredibly supportive, because she was able to, I almost needed it, instead of the support of like, oh, it's going to be okay, don't worry. She had this system where she went, well, I've worked with this and I've seen it loads of times, and we're going to push through this. It's going to be okay.
That's fantastic.
And weirdly enough, that was what I needed. Instead of being like mollycoddled, it was that thing of like, you're going to be fine. Like, people go through this, it's going to be okay. And it sounds harsh almost.
Yeah.
But it is that thing of like, I think because she didn't show an ounce of worry, that really helped. I think had she been like, can I do this for you? Can I do this for you? Can I do this for you? No, I was still washing the dishes. I was still fucking cooking and cleaning and, whatever else, and walking the dog, because she knew that I could, you know, she didn't like pander to me, which was really amazing.
So almost by keeping your day-to-day activities and like trying to push through it, do you reckon that helped?
Yeah, I think trying to keep things as stable and as steady as you can, because you've got things that are well out of your control, right? Like, okay, so next Monday I need to go in and I need to have chemo, and I'm doing my three days, and then I'm doing, you know, the hour the following weeks or whatever, right? So you know that there are days where things are out of your control. You know you have to do these things. When you're at home, and obviously you can't go to work because your immune system's through the floor, as well as your physical well-being is through the floor. It's one of those things where I was like, I can still maintain, like I can still walk the dog for an hour. I might not be able to train, but I'll replace that hour of training in the park I'll walk around the park for an hour with the dog, right?
Sure.
So it becomes, everything just kind of got shifted into this. Yeah, I guess like, even when that was happening, I was trying to not make everything about me. Because even Christmas Day, we're sat there and we're all having our Christmas dinner, and because I'm on steroids, I have seconds and thirds. And I said to Grace, I said, I need to have a nap. I was like, we need to go home and have a nap. Like, so I slept for 3 hours on Christmas Day as well, and then got back up in the evening, and then went back to, because we were around her mum and dad's for the Christmas Day. So we went back round afterwards. Luckily, we only lived around the corner at the time, so we were able to do that. But yeah, it just took so much out of me. And then when I returned to training, there's actually a video on my Instagram of me doing. So I've got like a beanie on because I just hated. Well, it was cold. It was still that cold time of year, but two, I just hated being out in public, like being bold, because it made me feel unwell, which is when it's not your normal day to day or whatever. It was another element that just made me feel sick. But I'm actually trying to hold an L-sit on these dip bars, and I'm thinking, instead of like looking at the video and going, oh my god, I could only do that, that's not enough. I remember at the time doing this L-sit and doing the regression where I'm doing one leg at a time, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I can do this. And I'm heavier and I'm weaker. And I was like, but I'm still able to do this. So there was, again, that gratitude of like being carried over from like the chemo days where I was holding a cup of tea or whatever, and I was like, this feels amazing in my hands, like it's so nice to have the warmth or whatever, to then transition into my training where I'm like, oh my god, I can do that. And that's really cool. So there's that element of it now. So yes, now whenever I train, it's not about, I need to do this, otherwise I failed. Now it's more like, I can do what I can do, and that's amazing. And if I can improve on that, that's incredible, you know? So that's where I'm at.
Again, it sounds like gratitude.
Yeah.
It sounds like almost like acceptance. So it's like, okay, this is what I've got. There's nothing getting angry at it. I'm here now. Okay.
Yeah.
And then action, like, let's go into this, and it's like, oh wow, I can actually still do this.
Yeah.
Like I have the ability to do a one leg L-sit at a time. You know, like I can walk the dog.
Yeah.
And so that's also a lesson to people in a case of, well, you might not be as strong as you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You might not be at your uni weight or whatever, but you can still do something.
Yeah.
And I think this for me is the most important lesson. I think you can look online, you can look at these incredible ultra marathon runners, these Iron Man and Iron Women, and these people doing incredible things.
Yeah.
That was a series of successive jumps.
Yeah.
They didn't just go from that to this incredible thing.
No, exactly.
It took a step. Took a step. And the thing is, say, for me or for you or for anyone watching, it's like, what's the next step?
Yeah.
And that for me is the most powerful about training.
Yeah.
And what it teaches you is to look at where you are now, accept it, and go, well, what's next?
Yeah.
What can I do now?
Yeah.
So.
And I think as well, like, enjoy it. Find the enjoyment in the grind, because that's where the happiness is. Once you've reached there, like I remember doing my first ever bar muscle up, and I was really happy about it, and I was like really excited and stuff. But actually, it wasn't doing the bar muscle up that made me happy. It was because I fought so hard to get there. So there's almost like finding the beauty in like the journey that you've taken to get there, you know?
I love that.
and the challenges you have to overcome with it as well.
Sure.
There's that element to it as
It's
well.
a classic thing of the journey rather than destination, right?
Yeah, of course.
I think Huberman says, dopamine, right? So the pursuit chemical.
Yeah.
Dopamine isn't the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
It's the happiness of pursuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I realized that over and over, for me, with my training, how many things have you achieved that you said would make you happy?
Quite a few.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you're happy now,
yeah.
but it's like, you're not any happier.
No.
It's almost like it's a base.
Yeah.
And so I realized that, and again, another friend, when he was going through a really hard time with his Ironman training, his coach said to him, the result is the person that you get to be as a result of doing the training and the race, not the end time.
Yeah.
And that's why I love Ultra, I love Ironman, I love Cali, because everyone's different, everyone can work on the next level, and it's just taking that next step, which is so big. So again, coming back to what you do now, why specifically calisthenics and bodyweight training?
I was always a bit like the members here, I was always one of those people where I didn't like the gym, didn't like the idea of a one-to-one PT, didn't like the idea of, like clanging weights around in a room and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, like just something about like gym life never really appealed to me. And I always thought I was quite physically fit anyway, but I never enjoyed like say for example, like sign up a Pure Gym, right? Like what's the ridiculous percentage? Like is it 82% of people, right? So 82% of people have a gym membership, they don't go because they don't enjoy it. And it's solo training, there's no community, there's nothing to it. So when COVID happened, and my mum and I are binge watching Orange is the New Black and eating every bag of Doritos in sight and drinking cider and wine and whatever else, right? And all of a sudden I'm going, oh my God, like this is like the heaviest I've ever felt and really not healthy at all. I realized I needed to do something, but because the gyms were shut, it forced my hand. So it was almost as if calisthenics got introduced into my life because it was the right time for me to like find it, right? So I then start doing these home workouts, and then I think I'm watching these videos on YouTube where, people are doing like, pull-ups on the bars and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, right, I need a pull-up bar. And then as I'm driving like around, I was in Bristol at the time, right? So as I'm driving around Bristol and I see these pull-up bars in the parks, I'm thinking, there it is. So it's like things were just coming at me naturally. And, I think like for the mobility side of things as well, like I've always just enjoyed having it be like body weight as opposed to like weight training. Mm-hmm. And I think so the harder thing not harder, it's all difficult, don't get me wrong, or it can all be difficult depending on what you're doing, but the progressions in calisthenics training I enjoy more. So instead of bench press, one move, now we add some more weight, the same move again, now we add some more weight, another move again. It becomes scaled to you. So push-ups, okay, I can now do 20 push-ups in a row. Let's make it harder. So all of a sudden it becomes pike push-ups and you're like, oh my God. Then it becomes, your archer push-ups or something along those lines, wide push-ups, diamond push-ups. Then next thing you know, you're doing push-ups against the wall, handstand, then you're training into your handstand stuff. And the skills I find enjoyable to pursue. So again, I managed to do a muscle up. The muscle up I was happy with, but the journey to get that muscle up was such good fun. And again, going through the progressions to get that muscle up. So you're doing your pull-ups, then you're doing weighted pull-ups, then you're doing explosive pull-ups, then you're doing your negative pull-ups, then you're doing, your pullovers. It's the movements that I enjoy. Whereas I think if I was led on a bench and I was just doing this because I wanted to do my chest and my triceps or whatever, like I'd just be like, this is boring.
Yeah,
it just doesn't. There's something about the gym that just isn't as exciting for me. So I think calisthenics kind of came into my life, when it should have. And I also think had I walked into a big box gym after my chemo, treatment and all that kind of stuff, it just wouldn't have worked for me. Mm. And now calisthenics really works for me because I have my 4-month-old and he can be demanding in various different ways. So being able to just do a workout at home or do 4 sets of something, have a break from it, deal with him, I can still be like present in the moment and still be at home and with my family, and that's something really important to me 100%. As well. Whereas if I had to go to a box gym, that wouldn't work.
Yeah, it's 100% with the big box gyms as well. I think for some people, like gyms are incredible. They love it, and and that's the 18%. You know, the people who are going all the time, cheap membership, saunas, swimming pools, incredible. But for most people, which is literally this is why CaliUnity was made. For most people, they want to have fun. They want to be in a community. They don't want to be in a room with tripods, like a minefield, to get to their weight equipment. It's up to you. And also, most people don't care about how much they can bench.
No.
But doing a push-up feels so like you feel like I can actually do that movement. And so it's whatever floats your boat, really.
I mean, is there like I don't know about other people, but like I don't know if maybe they're like, for me, I feel like there's like almost like a slight disconnect, because it's like instead of moving myself like with a push-up or with a pull-up, I'm moving weight. So it's like there's like almost a disconnect to me as well, because I'm having to, do you know, it's a weird one to explain, but and it's like when you're running down the street, you know, you're going for a run and you've got the wind hitting you or the rain hitting you or the sun hitting you, and there's something about it that's you, mind body connection. When you're doing it in a gym and you're running on the treadmill and you're staring at whatever you're staring at, you know, it's not, there's just something about gyms that just don't hit me the same as, you know, as we're, you know, this sort of gym or a park, or, you know.
100%. Yeah, I guess it's each their own in that. But just from how fast Cali's grown and we're nearly at max capacity and stuff, it just shows that people are yearning for this stuff. And looking for a space that is like community driven, etc. And on that note, so I wanted to touch on the 4-month-old, of course. But on that note, you are a coach at Cali, right? So how did that come about? How did you get into that? Maybe has your motivation to train changed as you become a coach at Cali? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So again, like now that I have the 4-month-old, my little one, it's I feel like again I've started to change my training again because of that. Like now I've got a new motivation again, because now it feels like now when I train, I'm not just training for me and my mental health, but I'm also training for him. Like I want to be able to set like a solid example, in the sense of, you know, I've got something that I'm passionate about and something that I want to share with other people, right? So I'm hoping that will kind of, you know, transfer over. Whether he gets into calisthenics or not, you know, he could do ballet for all I care, or football, or, you know, whatever it might be. But as long as he finds something that he's passionate about as well, I just really hope that he has that, because I know how it feels to have something that brings you so much joy, you know? And I wish that for not even just him, I wish that for everyone, pretty much. Every member that steps through the door, I hope they have something that's like that in their life, because it's such a nice escape as well, almost. Like it's a really lovely thing that you have for you and for your time and for your mental health. And yeah, I mean, like he could be in the lounge and then I'm in the lounge doing handstand training while he's just rocking back and forth in his chair, but the second he starts crying, like I give him a bottle of milk or whatever, and then I can go back to my handstand training. So it just works really well in that sort of thing.
And he's looking the whole time.
Oh, he's watching. He's watching. Yeah, he's watching.
What's that?
Yeah, he's going, why is daddy upside down? Again.
But I guess it's almost like intergenerational health.
Yeah.
Right? It's like all parents tell their kids to train and be fit.
Yeah.
But like there's a difference between telling and then literally showing.
Yeah.
Like look, and also it's different. It's like kids are the best at calisthenics in the world. They can all do a deep squat, they're all super mobile.
Yeah.
They're doing cartwheels.
Yeah.
It's just we lose it.
Yeah.
We get to secondary school, it becomes uncool.
There's that element of play that we lose as we become adults. And I think that's something that we very much have at CaliUnity. We have that element of play and fun, and you see adults smiling because they've not done a handstand since they were like 13, 14, 15 years old, right? Like it's not a natural position for us to be in.
Yeah.
But once upon a time it was.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that we lose that.
Why do we lose it?
Well, I think like you touched on, you go to school, it becomes uncool. There's like societal pressures or whatever that like, you know, you shouldn't be doing that. You know, and people, in fact, funny enough, I saw like an Instagram clip the other day of a guy on a beach doing muscle up stuff, and loads of people gather around because they're watching him, because they're like, oh, what's he going to do? He jumps up onto the bar and he starts doing muscle ups, and you're like, that's incredible. And he's doing them one after the other, like banging them out, right? Everyone walks away because they've seen him succeed. But for some weird reason, had he like fallen on his ass, they'd have all stayed to watch because it's funny, or like they want to laugh at him or something. So when they watched him succeed, they were like, no, we're not interested in that anymore.
Wow.
And that's a shame. Like, I don't really understand what that's about, or like, so there's this like societal pressure of like, we have to behave or act in a certain way, or we have to be, but then if you go out into the street in Bath and you saw someone doing, say, for example, like Tai Chi, and they were really focused, you can tell that I'm not good at Tai Chi, right? But you can see them really focused on their move, and they're so in the zone, they've lost that thing inside them that says, don't do that in front of people, because people are going to watch you stare or laugh or whatever. But you get drawn to it because they're so focused on it and they love it so much. You can see the passion coming from them. And I think that's what we do for our members here as well.
You're touching on the power of environment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like the best way to learn French is to live in France.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was just reflecting on the 3 classes that it's Saturday morning, and double trouble, 2 Ollies on the morning classes. But my jaw hurts. So we were just laughing so much.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a good time, and people were unlocking new skills, and people who have never come to the gym before, people who have never be able to do a push-up.
Yeah,
or even like women who feel like they couldn't get strong because it's it's amazing to see.
We had a client this morning, and they've been here for maybe 2 weeks now. Never thought they'd ever be able to do a handstand, and they're already up against the wall doing handstands. And it's incredible. Like, it's just showing that comfortable element of being able to be here and to feel comfortable enough and brave enough to give it a go, to be honest. And I feel like that's what we do for the members here, and it's incredible. Like, it's really lovely to see. So,
and Olly is a big part of the team. So you're doing Tuesday mornings, Thursday mornings.
Yeah.
And
Friday morning.
Reps
and sets, and then I'm here Saturday morning as well.
Saturday mornings.
Plus, yeah.
And also you're on shift
front
on the
of
front of house pretty much every day as well.
Yeah.
So
around a lot,
if any members are watching this and want to have a one-on-one with Olly, go through some stuff, half an hour. What would you say like your main kind of specialties are when it comes to Cali? If there's anything that, like, if someone came in right now and was like, I want to work on legs, I'm like, go to Olly. Like, I can't even do a pistol squat, right? So it's like Olly, and if you haven't watched the YouTube as well, Olly's got some incredible videos on there as well. What would you say is your main?
Good fun to film.
Yeah,
they're really good fun to film.
Yeah.
I would say, like, if there's anyone out there working on, so like when I first started my training, because obviously it was at home, I remember buying like my first pair of parallettes. My training really consisted of static movement, so it was lots of L-sits, lots of frog stands, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would say anything in terms of core building, toes to bar, and just recently I would say that I'm really happy with like how my bar muscle up training's gone. So if anyone ever wanted to say like work their way towards that, pull up wise, pull over, all those kind of skills that build towards it. I'm 100% happy to look after and just program.
Yeah.
And like you said, like I'm more than happy to see a client for 45 minutes or so and just give them, or even an hour of my time, because I love it. I live for it now. I really do. And
you recently just left your other job, right?
I have recently left my other job.
How was that?
For this. Huge weight off my shoulders, massive. But that's another reason why, again, like my training's not gone as fast, or I've not progressed as fast as I want, because not only did I have what happened to me, but then I went into a job that was shift work. So it was long days, it was night shifts, it takes up such a huge chunk of your day that you don't want to be, trying to chuck in training on top of it. It just all got too much. So I actually went to progress in this career, right? And this will actually answer your earlier question of why I became a PT, because I think I kind of like sidestepped that somehow. But basically, back in January, I tried to advance in my job, right? And I went for like the next step, and then they said, unfortunately, not enough people have applied for that job. So because of that, we can't fund the cohort to send people to university. So we're going to get rid of it, and we'll do it again this coming September, right? Now, bear in mind at this point, Grace is pregnant, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like I'm doing all these shifts. I'm really unhappy. I'm not training myself anyway, so my mental health is like affected by this. And it was a time where I was really struggling, and I was thinking, I feel like I'm going to be 30 next year, and I don't know what I'm doing with my life, right? And this is what I mean by Grace being like incredibly supportive as she is, because she not only managed to blast me through my chemotherapy treatment and support me with everything that I wanted to do, but she then said to me, she said, if you could have the world any way you wanted, if you could do whatever you wanted, what would you do? And I said, I'd have my own little studio somewhere, and I would be doing calisthenics like all day, not only training myself, but training one-to-one PT clients, and I'd also be running classes and doing that sort of stuff. So essentially what you and Kira have done, right? So, but I was like, that's what I would want to do. And she said, well then why the fuck are you pursuing this? She's like, why aren't you just doing that? And I'm not even kidding. That same night, I was signed up to a PT course to go and get qualified as a PT, because we knew that if I was going to ever have my own studio and run classes, like step one is get qualified, right? So yeah, and she's just been amazing at kind of pushing me in the right direction, incredibly supportive, incredibly helpful. And now, you know, my son actually arrived the same day you guys opened this gym. It was June 15th.
Huh.
So yeah, really weird, isn't it? But yeah. He actually
New
arrived.
beginnings.
Yeah, he actually arrived on the day that you guys were opening.
3 weeks early, right?
And then,
3 weeks early, wasn't it?
He was 3 weeks early. Yeah. So he wasn't even like when he was meant to be born.
Yeah.
It was like 3 weeks early as well.
Wow.
And you then said to me, "Oh, are you able to come in on? I think it was the Wednesday morning." You said, "Can you come in on the Wednesday morning to just like get used to the front of house and how it all works and get introduced to the gym, and we can have you here and show you some bits and bobs." And I said to Grace, I was like, "Oh shit, Ollie's offered me this, but obviously we've just had Elwyn, so I don't really know like how it's going to work." And she was like, "I'll be fine." She was like, "Go do it. It'll be all right. I'll survive for one day with him." And you know, luckily her parents still live close by to us, so they were able to, you know, support her on the days where I was here. But yeah, the 2 weeks that I was off for paternity, I was also here for also here learning how the gym works and stuff. But it's been amazing. It's been like an incredible transition, and yeah, I think just working out what I've wanted to do. I mean, it's taken me 30 years to get there, right? But like to work out what I actually want from life and what to do to get there and all that kind of stuff. Like it's the happiest I've ever been. Like genuinely the happiest I've ever been. And I'm now helping clients in class and, you know, supporting them with LSIT training or pull-ups or, you know, whatever it might be. And I just love it. And there was one time as well during my chemo treatment where I thought, I'm going to give up. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to do calisthenics. Like it's ruined. It's like it's destroyed for me, right? Like it's got like this black cloud over it. And there was a guy over in Canada who actually was doing, at the time that I was going through chemo, he was actually doing he had like these t-shirts with a cancer ribbon on it, and it said "fuck cancer," and then underneath "calisthenics for a cause." He was doing calisthenics classes to raise money for like cancer charities. And also people would come to the classes and they'd like donate like some kind of like sweet treat, like chocolate or crisps or whatever. And then he would drop that at one of the hospitals nearby where they were having chemo.
Yeah.
And I shot him a message and I said, "What you're doing is incredible," and it really touched me. So thank you. Like, even though I'm not in Canada, right? But like, you know, what he was doing is incredible. And like, I could imagine how it would be to be there and have that like treatment being given to you. And then someone comes in, "By the way, I'm doing calisthenics and this is what I brought in today." Just really sound, just really, really cool. And he said, "Send me your address, I'll send you something." And he actually sent me my own fat cancer calisthenics for a course.
Nice.
And that really hit me as well. So that's another reason why like I think my training and why my life has kind of started to go purely on calisthenics. It just brings me so much joy. And it's for someone who's been there firsthand, where like I thought it was the healthiest I'd ever been. I've had the rug swept underneath my feet. Like, This is just, I just see it every day. It brings so much joy, so much happiness. Even the people that come in for solo training and they're working out on their own and they're targeting their own goals. Like I can see just how like that enjoyment in the grind, as we spoke about before, like pursuing that goal. It's just, there's so much magic that happens here. It's stunning. It's incredible to see. And I just absolutely live for it now.
Well, you're a big part of it, mate. So
I'm glad I am. I'm glad. I hope to be. I hope to be more.
You're here every morning, basically.
Well, yeah.
6 till 1, 6 till 12 every single day.
Yeah. I'm here Monday through to Saturday. And if we do ever open up on a Sunday, I'm sure I'll probably do a Sunday morning as well, to be fair. So, you know, but
that's great, man, because I think the reason why I love having these chats is there are so many reasons there, and I've personally learned so many lessons.
Yeah.
Just from that, like for example, just to kind of recap, it's not where you want to go. It's accepting where you're at, taking the next step.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
it's being grateful for actually having what you've got as well, because you can be like, I love what you said about looking at yourself in the mirror and not chasing that too much, because the thing is when are you ever happy with how you look? Right? There's a constant hedonic treadmill. There's always more weight to lose. However, if you say, I want to get a push-up, and you get a push-up, you know you've achieved the push-up. And the thing is yes, there is a hedonic treadmill when it comes to Cali, because until you can do a one-finger, one-handed, one-arm handstand push-up, then there's still more to do. But there are very clear, distinctive levels that you know you've unlocked, right? And so that was beautiful. It's being able to give it back. Like, in order to keep something, you have to give it away. And you showing your kid, you giving it away in classes also helps you, right? And it also allows you to keep doing your training. It's the whole thing of like, chase your passion when it comes to calisthenics and PT. It's like you have this wake up moment of just like, what am I doing? Especially going through what you went through, and it's like being able to do that. So there's all these lessons, but if you could summarize it, like, again, the whole point of this is the person listening to this right now, maybe they're a Cali member and they're already smashing it. They're coming in 3 times a week. Great. But for the person that's at home, they don't go to a gym. They relate to you totally when they think about the big box gym. They don't want to go there. They feel intimidated. They feel maybe a bit paranoid. They don't want to get into the training. They haven't found what they enjoy yet. As a last question, just to close us out, what would you say to that person who's going through that at the minute?
It's a tough one, and there's loads of obviously like different levels that can kind of go into it. But I suppose what I would say is find something that you enjoy. So you may not want to go to a big box gym, but maybe you love like running, right? Like maybe running's your thing. Start setting small goals and do those small things bit by bit and do something that you're comfortable with. So if you like running, for example, like maybe today you want to go for like a 3K, jog, or like a 3K brisk walk. But I think you just got to find something that you're passionate about and something that you are going to keep at, something that you want to stick at. I think had I come out of chemo and been in a big box gym, I wouldn't have continued. But because I had calisthenics and because it was so accessible and so manageable and I could do it either in the garage, in the garden, or in the living room, like I was able to stick to it. So find something that you are passionate about, something that you can stick to, and something that's realistic. So I didn't think to myself, I want to... Passionate about, realistic. Something you can, and something you can stick to is what I would say. And for those that are thinking of, maybe calisthenics is for me, like maybe it would be accessible and it would be good for me. One, check out the YouTube content that is out there. There's loads of it, and we've started as well. Like we've now pumped out quite a bit, which is really cool. But
just CaliUnity on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. CaliUnity. Yeah,
and there's loads of ebooks as well on there for free. Go on the website. It's all on there.
And you don't even need gear to get started.
No.
You literally just need a floor space and yourself, and you can just get started with it. And you can do that from the comfort of your own home. If you did want to give something like this a go, make it accessible to you by maybe like going with a friend. That's always good. We have a friend week coming up.
Yeah, actually next week.
It's next week. There you go then. Yeah. So bring a friend.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a really good golden opportunity for you to kind of like come in, see what the space is like, have a little look. It's just taking those tiny, tiny steps, having discussions, having the chats with the right people, and surrounding yourself with the people that want to do it as well. So I was really fortunate in the sense that when I was trying to recover, Grace was also doing calisthenics. So we were taking our rings and our resistance bands down the park, and we were doing, skin the cats on the rings or on the bar, or, pull-ups with the resistance band, because I wasn't strong enough. But that's exactly, it's comfortable. You're with someone you trust and know. And everything just kind of falls into place naturally around it. And I think that's something that's really lovely as well. So that would be my top tips. Yeah, just something you're passionate about, something that is accessible, and something that you can stick to would be my top 3. And everything else around that will fall in naturally. If you can find those 3 things and you think, I want to do it with a friend, take a friend as well, and then everything will the ball will start rolling, the snowball will start to roll, and it will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually there's so much momentum behind you, and before you know it, you've been here, or you've been doing calisthenics for 6 months or whatever, and you're going, oh my God, like where did all that time, and look at where I'm at now in comparison to where I was 6 months ago. And that's something that's really incredible as well.
Amazing.
The changes that are made. It's stunning. It's a beautiful journey, and it's an incredible thing to. Is it sport? Yeah, it's an incredible sport, I'd say. Yeah, it's stunning.
Almost like self-discovery.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's lush. It's wicked. And yeah.
Ollie.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks for coming on, man. And if you are a Cali member, book in with Ollie. Have a if you do see him this week after watching it, just have a chat. Go up. Just the more we can talk about the stuff and the reasons why we train, and the better. And yeah, just thanks for coming on the show, man. Absolute inspiration. It's been amazing having you on the team.
Sorry for chatting your ear off. Oh. I could talk forever. It's a problem.
Well, we're gonna have to do round 2, I guess. So yeah, amazing. Ollie,
thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much. Cool, man.